There is a lot more going on inside that flower pot on your windowsill than meets the eye. Your favorite houseplant may not have eyes like we do, but do they just blindly exist? What if I told you that not only can trees see with color vision, that they know who their friends, neighbors, and even their children are, that they have communities complete with underground communication networks? What if, when you talk to your plants, not only are they listening, but they're actually talking right back? You just can't hear them. Join me as we unravel these questions and much more and enter the Codex Legendarium. I'm Shelby Melanson. So, plants have color vision.
Today, high-quality, low-cost dye transfer prints can also be made from Eastman, Ansco, and other similar color-negative materials.
I know, it sounds crazy, but check this out. Instead of eyes as we know them, plants have their own version of light-sensing structures called photoreceptors. Photo as in the Greek word for light, so receiving light. Specifically, individual wavelengths of light, which allow us, and plants, to see in color. It gets better. In a sense, plants actually have way better vision than we do. Specific kinds of photoreceptors like phytochromes, cryptochromes, phototropins, and ultraviolet B receptors allow a plant to zero in on visible light, like red light and UVA, blue light, from the sun. But also light beyond the visible light spectrum that our eyes can't see, like ultraviolet light and something called far red light. This is basically red light that's so red, it's on the verge of being outside our visible light spectrum. And if plants had a favorite color, it would definitely be this kind of far red. As for why, it's one of the best ways they can spot other plants. The reason we see objects as being a certain color at all is because they absorb some wavelengths of visible light and reflect others. So something that appears to us as green reflects a ton of red light back out into the world. And plants not only reflect red light, but a ton of this far red light too. So when a plant suddenly detects a ton of both red and far red light in a certain spot, it basically knows that a new neighbor just moved in. A new neighbor that might become the competition when it comes to soaking up the best sunlight or attracting pollinators. And since plants can't exactly just pack up and move when the local real estate takes a turn for the worse, knowing about their surroundings can help them get a leaf up on the competition, like growing in a certain direction to soak up the best sun, launching a growth spurt, deciding not to launch a growth spurt if there's too much shade in, say, the deep forest, or sending out flowers early to corner the bumblebee market. And those changes can start happening within minutes. We see this superpower emerge in all kinds of ways, like sunflowers with heliotropism that grow towards the sun, treetop canopies that fit together like puzzle pieces, but don't touch somehow. It's called canopy shyness. And then there are the unusual cases, like Boquila Trifoliolata, the mimic plant. This is a plant that puts even the most talented chameleon or octopus to shame. Native to Argentina and Chile, it can quite literally transform the size, shape, color, and even the veins of its leaves to perfectly match surrounding plants. And different parts of the same mimic vine can transform to look like different plants at the same time. It was discovered back in 2014, and the original theory was that the plant took in some kind of chemical signal in order to do this. But a study from 2021 decided to test something odd. Whether the plant would still use its mimic powers if the surrounding plants were plastic. And it did, suggesting that the plant actually has a kind of eyesight that can detect the shape and features of nearby leaves. Many mainstream biologists have brushed off this idea, yet no one seems to come up with a better explanation. Back to that houseplant on your windowsill. Any seasoned gardener knows talking to your plants is a thing. And while they may not be striking up a conversation about your latest decorating choices, what if they actually were talking right back to you?
I beg your pardon, but, did you... Oh, that's nonsense. flowers can't talk. But of course we can talk, my dear.
If there's anyone worth talking to. Or about.
There is absolutely no shortage of talking plants in our storytelling, from Dorothy's stroll down the yellow brick road.
Oh! Apples! Oh, look! Ouch!
What do you think you're doing?
We've been walking a long ways and I was hungry and... Did you say something?
She was hungry. She was hungry!
To Mario's talking flowers.
This place is dangerous. I'll just wait here. Not like I've got much choice.
And that's for good reason. Plants can talk, and they're actually real blabbermouths. In 2023, scientists from Tel Aviv University wanted to see if they could hear plants from a distance without electrodes touching the leaves. So, they set up high-powered microphones, the kind used to listen to bats' echolocation. And to their amazement, they found, or rather heard, that plants actually speak using ultrasonic sound waves at the same volume as we do. Yeah, that's right. The sound waves they emit are roughly as loud as your own voice, and different plants have different voices. The study found that the click-like sounds that they make change depending on the species of plant that they came from and what the plant is talking about. The head of the research team said, quote, "Each plant and each type of stress is associated with a specific identifiable sound. Plus, happy plants talk a little, but stressed out plants talk a lot." Quote, "Unstressed plants emitted less than 1 sound per hour, on average, while the stressed plants, both dehydrated and injured, emitted dozens of sounds every hour." Here's the kicker. The only reason we can't hear them is because they talk at a super high frequency, between 40 and 80 kilohertz, way too high for the human ear to interpret. And while we may not be able to hear them, quote, "While imperceptible to the human ear, the sounds emitted by plants can probably be heard by various animals such as bats, mice, and insects." Just 2 years later, the same university released even more research, concluding that moths can actually hear plant distress calls and use them to choose which plants to visit and which to steer clear of. Also, as a quick aside, not only are plants talking, they're also listening. In May of this year, a team of researchers gathered up some snapdragons and played the sounds made by the tiny bee that pollinates them. Turns out, the oh-so-quiet flapping sounds of the bee's wings actually inspired the snapdragons to produce even sweeter nectar, and make more of it. These studies are a huge step up from the plant communication that we knew about before, and even that was amazing. Just like human nerve cells and neurons, plants send messages through electrical signals. Pain signals are some of the most obvious, for obvious reasons. When a plant is wounded, it will send out electric pulses from its injury, which, by the way, works just like the electric pulses that get sent out by wounded human tissue. These electrical signals are so strong that scientists and artists alike have been clipping electrodes onto plants for decades and trying to tap into it. And by creating specialized devices to interpret them, we can actually hear plants singing. Okay, so plants talk. Who are they talking to? Well, for one, each other. Alongside sound, plants are also talking through chemical messages, which work like fragrances that other plants can smell. And the types of messages that they can send are insane. Everything from warding off predators to warning neighboring plants to conserve resources in times of drought or disease, or announcing that its flowers are ready to pollinate and fruits are ready to eat, and even crying out for help. If a plant is getting eaten up by caterpillars, it can send out a chemical SOS signal and inspire other insects to come and attack the caterpillars that are munching on the plant. That SOS warning also extends to other nearby plants. And when they hear it, they start preparing to defend against it, even though they're not in danger yet. Over in sub-Saharan Africa, the umbrella thorn acacia tree takes this to a new level. When a giraffe starts making a meal of the tree sends out ethylene gas, which tells neighboring trees to start pumping massive quantities of something called tannins into their own leaves. These chemicals are so strong that they can sicken or even kill large plant-eating animals if they consume it. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Plants can also use those chemicals to recognize their offspring. Yeah, who their children are. And they act differently towards them than other plants, like helping them to grow and sharing resources, literally feeding their young, especially when the young plants aren't tall enough to reach sunlight in a thick canopy yet, instead of competing with them. Beyond family, they also make friends. In one article, German forester and author of the book The Hidden Life of Trees, Peter Wohlleben, described 2 individual trees as an example. He described them as longtime friends, saying that they share sunlight, have interconnected roots, and quote, "In cases like this, when one dies, the other usually dies soon afterward because they are dependent on each other." Trees in a forest often link up to an underground communication system called the mycorrhizal network, literally meaning the foot fungus network. Some of them actually have been seen swapping proteins like RNA between the fine tips of their roots and the fungus filaments that they bond with, which either forms a friendship and a symbiotic relationship between them, basically the fungus telling the tree to trust, or identifies the fungus as an enemy to the tree. Trees are also connected to each other through the network, with older trees having way more connections than younger ones, much like their respected elders in a community. Some in the field actually affectionately describe this network as the Wood Wide Web. Making friends and alliances, caring for family, forming communities, calling out for help. All of that sounds rather aware, doesn't it? Turns out, there's an entire scientific field dedicated to exactly that idea. It's called plant neurobiology. Neuro, as in how the brain and nervous system work, except with plants. Experts and studies in this field say that plants actually have memories. They know how to solve problems, and maybe even more. Now, this entire field actually goes all the way back to 1973, to a book called The Secret Life of Plants. Now, this book made a lot of waves. In it, authors Peter Tompkins and Christopher Bird, who was a World War II U.S. military intelligence officer, by the way, document a series of experiments that were done on plants. They talked about some extremely curious phenomena, things like how plants respond to music and pain, how they react to nurturing from their human caretakers, as well as other things, like how they might be able to talk to humans, or even read your mind. Yeah, I know. Let me know if you want me to unpack that one in another episode, because I will need a full run for that. Despite their possible secret life, it's actually no secret at all why we've been mystified and fascinated by plants for millennia. Legends from ancient Greece describe a sacred grove of oak trees that served Zeus, the king of the gods, and his oracle of Delphi. When pilgrims would come seeking advice and counsel from the gods, the trees could not only talk, but convey wisdom from the heavens. In Norse mythology, there's Yggdrasil, the world tree that grew up from the center of the cosmos. This magnificent ash tree connected the human realm to the gods, and even held the entire 9 worlds together with its branches and its roots. In King Arthur's time, the great sorcerer Merlin was at one point said to be transformed into a tree. Those stories have gone on to inspire everything from Dante's Inferno to Lord of the Rings to Zelda: Ocarina of Time. The depiction of plants and trees as wise, intelligent beings connected to the earth is a far cry from how science used to see plants, as essentially blind and brainless. As a lifelong gardener and certified plant lady myself, I can tell you that plants add much more to a home than just purifying the air and boosting your mood. They can make a house feel like a home, really, and connect us to nature in ways that we likely do not fully understand. So, the next time you're strolling through a garden, busting out the watering can for that plant on your windowsill, or just stopping to smell the roses, don't forget to be kind, because they might just be listening. What do you think about plants? Are they keeping an eye out for their neighbors and friends? If they're talking, what do you think they're talking about? And could they be even more aware and intelligent than we realize? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if you have an idea for something you'd like to see a future episode on, let me know. And of course, if you enjoyed this deep dive into mysteries, myths, culture, and science, drop us a like, subscribe, and share this video. Until next time, stay curious. Thank you.